I was thinking Mickey Mouse ripoff. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Laurie, you want to hear my specs of the week?
Commander Smiths.
I already know.
Commander Smiths. Commander Smiths. Commander Smiths. Commander Smiths.
I should have done that.
Commander Smiths. Commander Smiths. Commander Smiths. I want to play. I want to play. I want to play Magic now.
Nice. Very nice.
You like it?
That is nice. Now, there is somebody else did that a remake with that one. Robin Thicke, I believe, is the name.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I had it. It did the whole dun, 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 and they just did a whole.
Well, it's
song
one of the
with it.
most famous symphonies ever.
What is it called?
Symphony number 7.
Is that what it is?
I believe so.
I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know who does it?
Is it? I don't want to say.
There's only 3 that you should know, and this is the most famous one. Correct.
Okay, I was like,
Beethoven.
how if I say the wrong one?
Yeah,
This is gonna be bad.
You know what? The crappy thing is I don't have my notes, and so I'm pretty sure it's Symphony number 7. But he had a lot of symphonies. Okay. So, but yeah, no, it was
good one.
Yeah,
I
you like
knew it
that?
after the dun, 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 so I kind of interrupted. I felt bad. I was like, oh, I know this one.
You wrecked my magnum opus.
Welcome to Commander Smiths. I'm Adam Smith.
I am Lowry Smith. Silence is the sound of cousins.
It's like we're trying to see who's going to say it first. We're like, is it going to be me, you? Yeah, we're cousins.
Us, yeah. And this is episode 11 right now.
11.
Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah. Then make a wish. It's 11-11.
No,
11,
it's only 11.
No, it's actually almost
not?
about midnight. Our time.
No, you're right. Yeah,
it's
it is
crazy.
about that.
Yeah, like Larry said, episode 11. We got to get all the stuff out of the way. So follow us at
Commander Smiths.
Commander Smiths on Twitter, or shoot us an email, commandersmiths@gmail.com. Or you can find us on YouTube.
Subscribe to YouTube for Commander Smiths. We just finished up
Dueling Boxes
for Dominaria.
Do we say what happened?
No, you got to watch if you want to know.
Yeah,
it's just sadness by one of us.
Did pretty well. It was pretty awesome.
And understand, remember who the luck sack is.
Luck sack.
Yeah, your sack of luck.
That was just a bad image. A luck sack.
Yeah, just dangling from in between your knees.
Below. Anyways,
down to your ankles.
Sack.
Just heavy sack of luck.
Hey, it wasn't that for years, so I need to have my luck sack tickled. So
it's been a decade since my luck sack's been around. It's all shriveled up and
you got married.
No, way before then.
Yeah, I've been married for 10 years.
It's like cold up here, and my luck sack's just inside my body. And
well, not cold now. We're in the.
That's what it feels like after opening that box.
Yeah, so you'll want to check that out. We'll get that video up. Not shortly. This will be first. And then within a couple days, I should have the video up and running. So, but yeah, it was fun. That was an awesome box to open. Dominaria.
Yeah, there's so many fun cards in that set. And I was thinking, we should point this out. There's a reason why we did so many spoiler cards. Normally we just focus on the cards that we want to play with in Commander.
For Commander, yep.
And there's a reason why we said so many cards is because there's so many awesome cards for Commander.
So each spoiler season, we won't have that. It won't be like that.
It won't be like that. But this set is
it's like a side Commander set. You know? It's like a mini Commander set, except it isn't mini at all because it was huge.
If you're new to Commander, or even if you've been in it for as long as we have, there are cards that you want to play with in this set. We were talking about this earlier. We've bought random boxes like Amonkhet, and I think we opened up Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah,
I might have put in 1 or 2 from one of the boxes that we.
Yeah, typically it takes me a little bit to get cards moved.
After the pre-release last week in Dominaria, I put in 10 different cards.
Which you only opened how many packs?
10.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now with the box open, I'm like, okay, I want to use this here, this here, this here.
Our stack of cards that we liked. We normally have a stack of cards that are worth stuff, and then you have a stack of cards that are okay, that's decent, and then you have the stack of cards that it's not worth a lot, but they're
they have potential and they could be really cool.
That sucker was huge. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to put this all.
So if you're new to Commander, I would highly suggest buying a box of this.
This is going to help your collection out for helping a lot of your decks
Definitely.
out. And making Commanders. There's just the Commander possibilities. Many. Speaking of that, our official peed on cards from a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Where we talked about which ones we wanted to pee on. That kind of got a little vulgar, but I think we're actually turning that into more of a segment. So yeah. Our official peed on cards of each set, whatever commander we wanted to do, we will build a deck with.
We'll build a deck, kind of play together against each other, see how they do.
Yeah.
And
with that, I got my official peed on card. If you listen to that episode, was Slimefoot,
the stowaway.
We actually ended up both getting that in this, which
it's uncommon, so it was going to happen.
If we would have got a foil one, it would have been a few bucks. But
that would have been pretty sweet.
So I'm building a Slimefoot deck, and Lowry.
I'm going to build Muldrotha the Gravetide.
He really wanted to build
Fire Song and Sunspeaker, but it's $20.
It's the most expensive rare card that you don't open in a pack.
And you don't, and like, it's the buy a box promo. You can't get it in any packs. And once I learned that, I was just kind of like poo-pooed on the card.
But Muldrotha's freaking sweet.
Muldrotha seems really cool. I'm excited to play with what I've built so far.
I feel like I'm in a disadvantage because that's going to be pretty sweet, being able to play multiple cards from your graveyard each time. But we'll see. We haven't done that yet. We're both in the process of building it.
Yeah, and right now I think we're just going to talk about it because we don't have any like actual video equipment to like figure out how to do the playing of the game.
Yeah, we'll talk about how each game went.
But we'll figure it out. I think we want to eventually turn that into a video.
Yep.
And
so we'll call it the official peed on card.
Yeah, official peed on cards of the Commander Smiths for Dominaria would be.
I pissed on Slimefoot,
and I pissed on Muldrotha. So
that'll be coming soon. Like I said, we're both building it now. We'll probably in the next couple of weeks get that thing done.
Yeah, I have my deck up.
Oh, you already have it done.
Yeah, I just need to get my land together.
Yeah,
and I gotta buy Muldrotha because I
have my
maybe did not get it in the
100
box.
cards or plus, and now I have to whittle that list down, and that's the part that takes me the longest whenever I'm building a deck. So
yeah,
I have the idea, which I feel like Slimefoot is very. The decks are all gonna be pretty damn similar.
I think so too.
Because you got to play with Saprolines to make that sucker work. I mean that's its point. So. You only have a limited amount of saplings.
You could base it around Conspiracy, which turns all your creatures into saplings.
Yeah, there we go.
And then not play a single sapling.
And then everything's... But you have to have that card
but you'd
to go
have
with
to,
it.
yeah. But Black can go Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, go and get that.
But that's the other thing we're trying not to do with this, is we're both not going to do is tutors necessarily.
True, yeah. So, we're cutting back on the tutors, trying to stop as much searching.
Lowry's gassy.
Yeah.
Tutors.
Why not? You're a tutor head.
And then what else we got? That's the peed on cards. Oh, that was pretty much it for that. So then
today we're going to basically talk about our core cards for Commander in green
edition.
Yeah, core cards for Commander.
That was nice.
Green.
And then our segment 2 will be. We're going to have to cut that up so that we use that each time. You don't ever have to say it. I'll just plug it in. Core cards. Anyways, so yeah, then the segment 2, we're just 2 segments today because we're going to talk a lot of cards with the core cards for Commander Green. That's going to take up most of our time. Yeah. And then we have probably 10
We'll finish off this episode with
Smith Specs.
I was thinking it'd be a lot. Like, we got to do it a little bit different. Like, Smith Specs of the week. Hey there, Adam.
High-pitched voice.
I was thinking Mickey Mouse ripoff. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Lowry, you want to hear my specs of the week?
What the heck did that? That was great.
I know I do a good Mickey impression.
Man, I'll work on my Mario one for a different segment.
Anyway, so let's start it off. Yeah, that's one of my little tricks. I can do Mickey pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, we were friends, and now I just learned something. Learn something every.
Let's jump into our core cards for command. Wait, sorry, go ahead. Say it again.
No, we're gonna leave a blank space, and then you put it in. You cut it in there,
but
right?
We need a good one again. I want to hear one without me laughing in the background.
Core cards for Commander.
This sounds like you're pooping. I'm sorry, that doesn't.
I can't. All right.
We'll move right into it. So,
why did I hold on to the words so long?
I don't know. It really sounded like you were pooping. So we're gonna start with the green stuff. We're just gonna start with the basic ones.
Okay, So green is the color of mana ramp. Like you're going and getting lands from your deck, putting it into play, tapped or not tapped or however. So you're probably already going to randomly have a ton of cards like that. We're not going to go specifically over them because they're just so basic.
Yeah.
And it's whatever flavor you want to play with, that's cool.
We're also not going to say how many decks they're in because all of these cards are in a shit ton of decks.
Yeah. They're
so all of these are in quite a few decks. Some of the newer ones might not be as many, but they're on the rise. But anyways.
And so in any green deck, you're going to want to have a certain amount of land ramp. Cards that we enjoy playing with are Birds of Paradise.
That is a staple.
And so it's a 1 green 0/1 flyer, taps for any color of mana.
Yeah. So that one's good. I mean, that's good for
everything.
I mean, the only time it isn't good is if you're playing just a mono green. Why not get Llanowars?
Maybe late game a little bit, but that's a little bit of the problem with
most of the time you aren't
as
playing
well.
mono.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff we're kind of dealing with is you're playing multicolor stuff. But to go with it, go search for your land stuff. So if you use Cultivate or
Kodama's Reach
or Harrow, all these you go and you're searching for multiple lands and putting them in. So if you're playing 2 colors, 3 colors, 4 colors, 5 colors, this helps you go get your other colors.
And I think the only other one that we heavily play is, well, not the only one, but one is Sakura Tribe Elder. I like that. I like whenever there's a land ramp attached to a creature because that allows you to recur it with some type of graveyard recursion.
And what's nice about him too is that you can sacrifice it. You don't, if he's about to get killed or whatever, you sack him. So he's a chump blocker, and boom,
sacrifice him. Yeah,
so
and then
even late game he can help you a little bit. But so yeah, that's our just to start off. Then we're gonna get kind of more. Now we're getting more into our.
So if you're making notes, understand land ramp in your green decks doesn't matter.
Definitely.
It's your type of. In my mind, it's a type of like card advantage.
Yeah.
Because you only get 1 land per turn, and so if you have more lands than your amount of turns, you're ahead in the game.
Yep, exactly. That's a big key. That and drawing, like we've always said, that land and drawing is your 2 biggest keys in this. So then we'll move into our next part of our green stuff. So we're kind of grouping a lot of these together. So we'll just start with Tooth and Nail. Tooth and Nail.
Crazy. It's
what is it?
So
5?
powerful.
Gosh, I don't even have it pulled up right now.
No, it's 7. It's 2 green.
No, I mean 5 and 2 green.
Yeah.
And so what it does is you can. I think we've talked about this card before.
You had it in your Animar deck.
That's right. So you can go search for 2 creatures, or you can take 2 creatures from your hand and put them directly into play. Or you entwine it for an additional 2, and you can go search for 2 creatures and then put 2 creatures into play.
Yeah.
So it's pretty freaking insane.
And there's a lot of cards that we kind of like playing with that, where it just kind of like goes and pulls creatures from your deck and putting it into play.
Yeah.
And again, whatever your flavor is, I don't play with Tooth and Nail a whole ton.
I have it in a couple decks. Well, once
but I totally understand why people play with it. Another one is like Defense of the Heart, which is an enchantment for a green.
Really good card.
Yeah, green, 3 colorless.
This for commander is really good.
Yeah, exactly. And then if an opponent has 3 or more creatures, you can sacrifice the enchantment on your upkeep, and you can go and put 2 creatures, any 2 creatures from your library into play.
So the fun part about that card as well is if you play it early game, like normally you're going to play that late game.
Like people,
you stall people out because then they're like, oh, well, I don't want him to go get 2 creatures because it's a lot of times a combo where you freaking win the game.
Yeah, I love it where it's like comedy almost, where like you play it when people have too many creatures. Yeah. And they're like, okay, I'm going to attack you. You're going to block this, and they're both going to die, and then we're going to go below.
So yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
And then it's like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice my creatures.
We don't want them to get. We don't know what's in there, but we know it's bad.
In this card, I did, to prove my point, when I hate poison, so I went and got Blightsteel Colossus, Kiki Jiki with Defense of the Heart, and then killed one person. Like
I wasn't in that game.
Yeah, you were. It was you and Trombley.
Oh.
And I went, I hate poison.
Maybe I
blacked
that one out. Or you're making it up.
Nope. So
to go with our tutors though, Because tutors. That'd be kind of considered our tutor stuff. So we got Worldly Tutor, which is a 1-drop. You go search. It's a sorcery.
Instant. It's an instant.
And you find a creature, put it on top of your library. So you do that right before your turn starts.
Yeah, and you're able to find utility creatures off of it.
And then Green Sun's Zenith. You tap 1 green and X. Go search for a green creature with converted mana cost X or less. Put it directly into play.
Yeah, that one is a green creature, but being able to put a creature into play is pretty big. And then
I think that's it for our tutors, isn't it? Yeah. Oh no, Chord of Calling.
Yeah, Chord of Calling is really good too because that's instant. That's 3 green instant and X, and then it has Convoke. And so you get to go and search for a creature of X or less and put it directly into play, but you can tap as many creatures,
which is the Convoke.
In the X, which makes it pretty good. And I think I generally try and put this one in token decks so that I can generate a lot of mana off of it.
Yeah, because you can tap your tokens even if they just came into play, which is nice to do the tapping with that. Yeah, not only is that a EDH great card for that, but I use it in the modern decks that I've built with. It's a good search for that. So that's why that one's kind of expensive. 2 printings of that one though, but it's still an expensive card. With 2 printings.
And I think fair warning at this point, a lot of these cards aren't
expensive.
They're not cheap.
Yeah, but that's what the thing is we're giving you the core cards so that you
want to build up to this
exactly
because they go in a lot of different decks.
And if you go with how we're not saying everybody's doing it, but if you do how we do our what am I trying to say?
Playstyle?
No, our
proxies.
God, I just kept going specs, and that is. Yeah, maybe make fart noises with my mouth.
You were mouth farting, yeah.
But if you do our kind of ideas, if you own the card and then you start making proxies of it, this just makes it easier. You get one of these cards, you eventually, one every couple months or something like that for the really expensive
or trade
ones.
into it.
Or trade, exactly.
Trading's a pain in the ass. But.
Yeah. Although what you said, Card Sphere has been doing really good for you lately.
And I don't know if we've brought up Card Sphere a little bit, but I can't keep money. I'm not sending a ton out, but I think I've sent out $30 to $40 worth of cards, and I'm at absolute zero right now. I've had that much cards coming in
because I'm not. My list to trade is all crap, so there's too much for me to send.
You should get better cards.
No, I just have those in my binder, and I don't want to ever trade them. Anyways, moving down the list, should we do our manipulating our library, top of the library cards?
Yeah, we could do that one.
Okay. So one card I like using a lot is Mirri's Guile. It's a 1-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you can look at the top 3 cards of your library, and then you can rearrange it to however you want, and then you draw your card. Similar card, which is better.
Sylvan Library is a very similar card. It's weird in the wording though, so that's also an enchantment, green colorless enchantment. During your draw step, you draw 3 cards. So you're actually drawing these 3 cards, but you can choose to put 2 back basically. And then any card you draw beyond the first one, you're paying 4 life. 4 life, yeah. Now you're like, why is that good? Well, because drawing cards is amazing, and it's worth 4 life.
And you have 40 life.
You have 40 life. So totally worth it. You're still manipulating the top of your deck in a certain way as well. And just being able to draw those cards, in my mind, is so much better.
And me personally, if I'm playing a green deck, I have both of them in, and Sensei's top a lot of times, because then it's a better chance of getting... I'll at least have 2. One of the
and that's where I was gonna go. Like Mirri's Guile, I'm not a huge fan of because I'm almost always gonna have top Sensei's Divining top, and if it's green, I'm having Sylvan Library, and then I'm going like, what colors am I playing with? Now, if it's white or red, they're some of the worst ones for drawing cards. So Mirri's Guile might go in there, but if it's blue or black, it's not good enough to make it in those decks. So
I'm like vice versa. And the other part of it is I didn't have Sylvan Library until the Modern Masters came out, because then I got my copy in a pack. Mm-hmm. So I was always playing Mirri's Guile and Sensei's together. So that's why it's always in all my green decks. I just haven't really filtered in Sylvan Library as much. So then we move into our game winners, I guess.
I think we could do that, yeah.
Craterhoof Behemoth, we've talked about that card.
Yeah, it's it's really good.
If you get a copy of that, because so many games will end with Craterhoof Behemoth coming out.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it a couple times on this on the Commander Smiths. I've had it where I play it with 2 other creatures in play, and I'm still dealing a ton of damage.
And if we've talked about that, it's 5 and 3 green, and it has haste, and when it comes into play, it gets X+X, where X is the number of creatures you control. So token decks, it gets
trample, and trample as well.
And token decks, it just gets ridiculous.
Yeah,
so.
It's if you have 7 creatures in play, they all get +8/+8 and trample. And he gets to attack as well. You're just you're attacking with a bunch of 9/9s, like tokens or whatever.
Tooth and nail, go get Craterhoof.
Yeah, Craterhoof. And
have it go with, it'd be a good combo is you go get that with Avenger of Zendikar.
Well, Avenger of Zendikar, yeah, it'd kind of go crazy, but they don't get to attack. But
yeah, but your freaking Craterhoof would.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
Yeah, but anyways, Avenger of Zendikar is actually on our list. That's not one of our game winners, but
it's just great value.
Good
card.
But
we can the other one that I am loath to talk about, but the Triumph of the Horde.
I like this card. I put it in almost every green deck.
And it's 2 colorless, 2 green, sorcery. All your creatures get +1/+1, trample and poison. Infect, yeah.
Infect. But the only reason that this is in there, and I'll only have this typically for if we have a person that goes out of control and gains a ton of life and there's no other way to kill them. Especially if I have a commander that isn't strong in doing the damage, like being able to kill them commander damage.
Yeah.
Or if I'm just trying to get all my little creatures to be able to kill them with poison. But there are so many games that do end with Craterhoof or Triumph of the Horde.
Yeah, you could do Craterhoof into Triumph of the Horde and just wipe the table. That's game.
But normally it's one of the two, and somebody plays it, and it's just like, oh, okay, yep, we're done.
Yeah. So,
but then I did mention Avenger of Zendikar. That's one of our other core cards. That isn't necessarily a game ender.
So it's 5 colorless, 2 green creature. When it comes into play, you get to put as many 0/1 plant tokens into play as you have lands, and then whenever you play a land, all of those plants get +1/+1 counters placed on them.
Which you can just have this in any deck. You don't need to have it in a landfall deck necessarily, because you get a crap ton of 0/1s that every time you play in land, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So
yeah, and it's great value for 7 mana. You're just it's an army in a can, basically.
Yeah. You play with this. I've seen you play that card a lot more than anybody else.
Yeah,
it comes out more often than I've ever seen anyone else.
And I'll admit, landfall is probably my favorite mechanic.
Because you don't have to do anything.
It's naturally you're playing, and that's exactly what Mark Rosewater says. It's like a land later on when you don't need it, and then you're like, oh, landfall, that's pretty sweet for me.
Yeah.
It allows the late gameness of ramp to be powerful.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have an extra ability with playing frickin' land.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of land, Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. This is 6 and 2 green. This is another one on our list, by the way.
Yeah.
Trample 7/6. Now, just going to break it down easily for you. When he's in play, whenever you tap land for mana, it doubles it. When your opponents tap mana or land for mana, their land stays tapped for an extra turn.
Yeah. And so if you want people to hate you, play this card.
And we've talked about this one before too, because it was in the Animar deck. God, a lot of these are my Animar deck.
Yeah, because they're really good in your Animar deck in general. Yeah, but again, it's ridiculous. 2 other mana doublers that are kind of similar to Vorinclex would be Zendikar Resurgent, which is an enchantment for 7, like 5
about
green,
this one.
2
This
colorless.
one was a recent spec because the foils are kind of going
and so
crazy.
your mana is doubled, and anytime you cast a creature spell, you draw a card.
Which is awesome. So
and
you get
that one's more of Adam's...
My baby right now.
Your baby. It's a good spec. And then the one that's not a good spec, but one that I have and I really like, really good card, Mana Reflection. Which is an enchantment for 6 total, but 4 colorless, 2 green, and it doubles anything that makes mana.
Yeah.
So if you have like a filter land that we've talked about, that actually produces 4 mana.
Oh man.
Soul Rings produce 4 mana. Your Llanowar Elves or your Birds of Paradise produce 2 mana. Like anything that gives you mana doubles.
That's pretty sick. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and getting doubling your mana and land and everything in a color that gets a lot of mana is freaking ridiculous, and is known for its big crazy creatures like we've already kind of talked about. So yeah, all three of these are pretty freaking insane. And also with Mana Reflection and Zendikar Resurgent, it's enchantments. There isn't a lot of enchantment removal that
they dodge a lot of removal.
So I mean, creatures get killed all the time, but enchantments are harder to kill because there's just not a lot of people play with it. We do. We tried to do spot removal, but you don't have... I always have mass removal.
Yeah.
But that won't hit these artifacts. I always have to get those... Or artifacts. Enchantments.
Because there's a ton of artifacts that are played in Commander and a ton of creatures. Enchantments are a little bit not as heavily played. And so I would agree, like, sometimes they just kind of hang around and kind of control a game.
Yeah.
So,
and then we move into it's a lot of mana stuff. Oracle of Daya.
Yeah, and this is why we skip the sorceries and sorceries and creatures that just kind of get you land, because we're still talking about a ton of like land ramp stuff.
Oracle of Daya is 1 green and 3 colorless, and you play with the top card of your library revealed. If it's a land, you may play it, and you also get to play an extra land each turn.
An additional land. This card, I love this card.
It's such an awesome card.
The
only downfall is people know your hand, and we had talked about that last week.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's like.
I mean, if they made it so
a real drawback.
Well, I know, but if they couldn't see your hand, how awesome would that be? We're making cards again.
Yeah. No, this card is bonkers. It's a bit spendy at this point because I think everybody's realized it's bonkers. I think it's around 30.
Yeah. Is it at 30 right now?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It just continues to go up. It'd be nice. It's not used in any modern or legacy decks, really, and it's still a $30 card.
It's commander driven.
That good.
Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah, it's at $35 freaking dollars. I'm glad I have mine.
Yeah, I have 1 or 2 as well.
But it's definitely a must-have in any green deck.
Yeah, I almost put it in every green deck.
Yeah, it's just that good because you're getting your extra land, then you're also not drawing into land necessarily. You know, if your top 2 cards are land, you play that, and then you go and you play the next one.
Yeah, and that's the technique that you want to use. If you have a land on top of your library, you want to get rid of that so that you can draw actual cards.
That's going to be useful.
And then you still have land in your hand for later if somebody kills Oracle of Daya, and
boom, you drop your other stuff.
Yeah, so you're just getting
through
ahead.
Your deck. Yep. Oracle,
and so it does get bonkers with like Sylvan Library and Mirri's Guile, so you can leave a land on top.
Yep.
And not
purposely do. Yeah.
And then go through your deck that way as well.
Another card that I don't play much of, but we used to play this card a little bit more.
Vigor. That's how we say it. I think it's just Vigor.
Vigor.
Yeah. Vigor sounds way cooler, but it's a 6/6 Trampler, 3 green, 3 colorless. If it goes into your graveyard, you shuffle it back into your library.
It can get damage, but all your other creatures, when they take damage instead, you put 1/1 counters on it.
Yeah, you prevent that damage and put 1/1 counters on it. It's
a good
sick
creature protector.
It's like you play it and you attack with all of your 1/1s, and if they block, or just all of your creatures, and if anything they block just gets pumped.
Or if you're putting it in a deck that you're doing purposely damage to your own stuff, it's kind of nice to give them damage and then they get pumped. I don't know. I was thinking of
Earthquaking or exactly.
anything like that.
Just abusing it even more.
Next card, we talked about this one as a spec. Oh, wait. No, you want another one?
No, you can do it.
Okay. Cryptolith Rite. And that was one I talked about, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but as a spec. But it's 1 green. No, it must have been 2 weeks ago because we talked about the invention stuff. Anyways, 1 green, 1 colorless. Your creatures are able to be tapped for any color. You can tap them.
It turns all of your creatures into birds of paradise.
Yep. But they do have the tap symbol, so you can't do it for a creature that just came into play.
And this is one, like, I'll bring up Earthcraft, even though
we said we weren't going to. So damn you, Lowry! It's even crossed off on his list, and like, but I know what it does.
But Earthcraft is an enchantment for green colorless.
You couldn't resist. You're like,
and you
Earthcraft.
This is our highly debated one if we want to bring it up. So it's like a $60, $80 card or whatever right now. But what it does is you tap a creature and you get to untap any basic land.
Yeah.
And so it's a broken card. Like if you can find a basic land or like an enchantment that goes on a basic land that creates a creature, you can make infinite creatures.
Yeah.
But even for if you're just using it like nicely and not broken, it's still really good because you're able to tap the creatures
the turn it comes
into play. So summoning sickness doesn't matter.
My only downfall with it was if you're multicolored and you're needing, like if you're playing a 3 to 4 color deck, and you need that other color. I liked Cryptolith Rite better, just because of it's not better, but in those situations, I was like, well, then you can. It provides you with that mana that you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
And Earthcraft is a reserve list card. It's not going to go down. It's only going to go up. If you want to get it, go for it, get it, because it's not going to go down from the price it's at.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. You couldn't resist.
I got it in.
Earthcraft. Oh crap!
Squirrel nest.
Word vomit.
Go off.
So we talked about Defense of the Heart. That was next. We talked about Sylvan Life. Okay, so now we get into our doubling counters.
Yeah.
Of course, the top dog is Doubling Season, the one that started it all, pretty much. I'm surprised they don't ban it, but whatever. I love it.
It's what, $50-$60 right now?
Yeah, and it's 4 colorless. 1 green. It's an enchantment. Double all counter. When your stuff comes into play that has counters or are counters, double it. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Planeswalkers, creatures, 1/1 counters, creatures, -1/1 counters, -0/1 counters, like anything. Freaking doubles it.
So it's super powerful. It was printed before Planeswalkers were a thing.
Yeah.
And so
that's the funny thing about Planeswalkers now is like how good they are is if it works turn 1 when it comes into Doubling Season.
Oh yeah. Like if you have Doubling Season, and then I'm going to ultimate
first turn or not. Like that's how you determine if it's a good Planeswalker.
And so
that's not really the only reason, but it's funny how everybody compares that, just trying to see if Doubling Season's out, does this work?
Is this good enough? Yeah. And then another card that's decently similar, which is Parallel Lives, and that's 1 green, 3 colorless enchantment. Whenever a creature token comes into play under your control, make another one. So it's similar to Doubling Season, and it's a really good card in a token heavy deck.
Yeah, it's a nerfed Doubling Season.
Yeah, so it can't hit everything. I don't use Doubling Season in everything.
I use it a lot, but yeah.
The 5 mana can be a little restrictive, especially if I'm only focusing on one thing.
More often than not, I'm using that. Like it's surprising how much Planeswalkers and it's in my Planeswalker deck.
I totally understand why it is.
And tokens is if you're playing any of those, like a heavy amount of both of those, it's a must-have in your deck.
So one that I think is really good. I don't know. Do you have one of these Windborn Muse or Seedborn Muse?
Yep, I do.
So it's 2 green, 3 colorless creature, and essentially it untaps all of your permanents on your opponent's upkeep.
Yeah, remember that's in my not Jory deck. Rashmi.
Yeah.
That's the way that I'm able to keep.
Rashmi. Yeah. And so this card just allows you to. Like, it gives your creature pseudo vigilance. It allows you to play instants after playing other sorcery speed cards on your turn.
If you're able to do a lot of
if you have
stuff,
activated abilities, it allows you to reuse it.
Exactly. And then the more people you're playing with, the better, because you just keep reusing it. Don't use it.
And so, the reason why this went up was because so there's a card called Prophet of Crufix that got banned because it untapped lands and creatures, and then you got to play creatures at instant speed. That card got banned, and then people were like, well, the untappability is just good enough, and then Windborn Muse just skyrocketed.
Yep, it's pretty good. And then we got kind of a newer one. Well, not newer. It's a few years old, but Tireless Tracker, 2 green, 1 colorless. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate, you get a clue token. It's an artifact. You can tap 2, sacrifice it to draw a card. And it also says whenever you sacrifice a clue, it gets a 1/1 counter on it. And it's a 2/2 or a 3/2. So I think this is good. You were saying when we were discussing this card before we started the podcast, you don't like it as much late game. I could say it still would work late game because if you're still getting the crappy land, you don't want land late game necessarily. If you don't really have a hand, so that actually could help you if it comes in late game.
Yeah, and my thought process with that one was fairly similar to Mirri's Guile. Like, if I'm in blue or black, I think I have just better options. Mm-hmm. But again, if I'm in red or white, I think this is a solid card.
Yeah.
And so I think in my mind it was a little outside the realm of like core cards for commanders. I wouldn't put it in every deck.
I haven't put it in every deck, but I'm tempted to. Because I haven't tested it out enough, I haven't run it enough.
Because it is really good. Yeah. I'll admit, it always surprises me on how powerful it is. And so I could be underestimating this card.
Yeah, because you actually were just telling me about it the other day.
I made a modern deck with it. And I'm just like, man, this card's bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, it's good.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We're into basically a protection spell. This is probably the only one
This is one that you were super high on right from the get-go.
And it took a while to jump. But it's Heroic Intervention. It's a green and a colorless instant, and when you play it, all your permanents get hexproof and indestructibility.
And that's really good. Yeah. So like it protects
Board
you.
Wipe, no, they're oops, I hit the mic.
Excited.
Yeah.
You're so excited.
Board Wipe, and as long as it's not exile everything, you
saved all your creatures.
Yeah. And it's all your permanents. So if they're targeting your enchantments that you don't want or your artifacts, boom, you give them hexproof and indestructibility.
Yeah, so it stops spot removal, it stops board wipes, and it's a really good. It's generally like combat tricks or like those types of tricks just aren't really good enough. But this just covers a lot of bases.
Yeah, the only thing it's missing is exile.
Yeah,
if it had some way of getting around.
I feel like it should give a creature +4/+4 as well, like Vines of the Vastwood.
Yeah,
I feel like
infect.
Yeah,
it gives them infect as well.
Yeah, why not?
Every damage that is dealt to your creature is then rebounded to that player in an infect form, especially if it's Lowry. He gets double.
I think that one fit on a card. It's too many words.
And then let's get into our graveyard removal.
Yeah, scavenging ooze.
That's good. That's
offensive.
I didn't realize. All right,
that's offensive.
Scavenge ooze.
Okay, so it's a colorless and a green 2/2 creature. You can pay 1 green to remove a card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card, you get to put a 1/1 counter on it and then gain, I believe, a life.
Yeah, I believe it is a life.
And then, so this card is, I think we said it during the artifact core cards for commanders, but you always want to run a little bit of graveyard hate.
Yeah,
just random hate. This guy can grow really big as well late game. Like you can pump, just get rid of a bunch of creatures out of opponents' graveyards, and I mean it makes him more expensive. But he's only 2/2 for 2 mana.
Yeah,
and he can get a lot bigger.
And you can do it instantly.
Yeah,
you get it right over the first turn it comes into play. It's not tap ability. You can do multiple cards, and it's exiles. It gets rid of graveyard stuff, like Larry was saying.
Yeah, it's Funny a really good card.
This card is it initially came in the commander sets. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so this card initially, when it came out, was like a $35 card. Yeah, and so we were going around to Targets, and I was picking up.
You were, yeah.
Well, I picked you up. I think a couple boxes.
Yeah, but I just used it, one.
I was like, "Hey, Larry, you want one?" Because you could buy the box, sell this one card, make a couple dollars off of it, and then you kept the 99 cards. It was pretty ridiculous. And then they realized how good it was, so they printed it in Modern Masters.
No, it was a core set, like M.
Oh, but they also have it in a Masters set.
Yeah,
as well.
They do.
Yeah.
So they've reprinted it a couple times, and it's still $4.
Yeah.
And like this, it was originally just it was hate against Tarmogoyf and Legacy.
Yeah.
And so it shrank Tarmogoyf down and get bigger, and so it became
the staple for
so yeah, it's
Tarmogoyf down.
It's good enough to be in Legacy. I believe it's played in Modern. it's definitely good enough for Commander.
Yeah. And then going with our graveyard hate, let's go with our graveyard love with Eternal Witness. You like that? That little segue with that?
Hate love.
Eternal Witness is 2 green and 1 colorless, and she's a 2/2, I believe?
2/1.
2/1. When she comes into play, you return a card from your graveyard to your hand.
Any card.
Yeah. So it's not specific.
Pick a card, any card.
Yeah. It's good to have in your deck because we want to
reuse. Being able to... I've always looked at it as a very similar to like Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
You're able to get it back into your hand, and then you can cast it at whatever speed you need it to be.
Yeah. And to top this off, I will say this. It is the number 1 card on EDH and for green. So it's the most used card in green.
And again, it's great in recursion and blinking, and like when you're blinking creatures. It's just a solid card. It's really good. And it's been reprinted multiple times as well.
Yeah, and it's still at $9.
Yeah.
Because it's used so much. And then let's move to... one of a newer card that I actually really like is Lifecrafter's Bestiary.
Bestiary.
Bestiary?
Sure.
I almost said bestiality.
No. No. We don't talk about that on this show.
Now, did we talk about this card before? Did I mention this?
I think we've mentioned it before.
It wasn't in the specs one, was it?
I don't know.
Because this is one that
we have so many episodes. I can't remember everything that's on. We've been doing this for so long. It's hard to remember everything.
We've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
11 episodes.
That's almost 3 months.
But this one's actually an artifact, but you only can play it with green because it has green symbol in its text. So it's 3 colorless to come into play. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. That's pretty sweet. You don't have to tap anything to do that. But its bonus ability is when you cast a creature spell, you may pay 1 green. This is why it's 4 green. And you can draw a card. So it has 2 pretty sweet abilities. And it's used quite often. And I think it's getting more and more play. And this is a newer card. 2 years old?
Out of Kaladesh, yeah. I think it was just... 2 falls ago.
But one card that goes with it that's quite a bit more expensive, but is pretty damn good.
It's something that I would run, it's Greater Good, which is an enchantment. It's 2 green, 2 colorless. You get to sacrifice a creature to it, and then you draw cards to the amount of power that creature sacrificed has, and then you discard 3 of those cards.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a draw engine. It fills up your graveyard. You get value out of creatures if they're about to die. It's Greater Good in my mind is like, it's just another like card filtering, kind of like Lifecrafter's Bestiary. I think it's a little bit faster. It doesn't have those passive abilities like the scrying 1, but it's another great, fantastic card.
Yep. No, I definitely like that card. And then we move into kind of our removal.
Green removal.
There's 2 of them that are pretty... There's more removal stuff, but the 2 specific ones that target anything, any permanent.
Which is important, yeah. A lot of cards don't just target everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that we kind of cut off the list because a lot of people will have the other cards. They're more specific. But Beast Within and Song of the Dryads, and they're both 1 green and 2 colorless to play. What Beast Within does is it kills a permanent and it turns into a 3/3 beast. That player gets a 3/3 beast.
And then Song of the Dryad is an enchantment aura, and so you put it on any permanent, which it can be a land, anything, and then it turns that card into a forest.
So you can use this on
Gaia's Cradle. Just to bring it up for the 11th time in a row.
Hey, that's like a $400 card now. It's insane. It's $400.
You're mean.
But yeah, you put it on that, and it turns it into not even making green anymore. It just makes a colorless mana.
No, it makes it green. It's a forest.
No, it says a colorless. Oh, colorless forest. Yeah. So what I was reading it was that it made it not actually.
Yeah, it's a colorless forest because
land. Yeah, I got it.
For any noobs out there.
Are you calling me a noob?
No, not you. I'm just saying lands are colorless.
Yeah. Even though they have the color symbol, it's still colorless.
It is colorless.
So yeah, those are your 2...
It gets around indestructible as well. Song of the Dryads, you just turn it into a forest.
And wait, Beast Within, that wouldn't get around it.
Well, yeah, Beast Within just destroys. So you could try and destroy something and then just give them a 3/3 token. That'd be cool.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. Well, you can also do it to your stuff if you were trying to get...
Also true.
You know, if you're really needing a 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a 2/2 that's about to kill you.
It's corner case, but possible.
And then let's get into... Oh, no, let's do Rumanap Excavator. That was one card we've talked about. That's one card... that's another one of my favorite specs.
Yeah,
right now.
That's a spec. And it's not... I like it. If you're running fetches, it's worth it. If you're going against somebody that destroys lands, and it's worth it. And it's 1 green, 2 colorless. It's a 2/3, and you can play lands from your graveyard.
So fetches is a good point. That's a very good point with stuff. Or if you're playing strip mines.
Yeah, if you're playing strip mines,
if you have any way of that you're killing your own land. It's kind of hard to go specific of, unless you're always playing the same person. They always play the same deck where it's killing land. But you know what I'm saying.
But like, when you're putting specific lands into your graveyard on your own,
it's good.
Then it's a really good card. Like if you're milling cards from your library, you're able to just get value out of it, being able to bring lands back. So it's, I think it's a really versatile card. And there's other cards that bring lands back as well. So you just kind of search around, but I think that's one of the better ones.
And then we Roundup's
a poison.
For
weeds.
Yeah. You're funny, Larry. We finish this off with... Finish it off. That just sounds bad too.
What? How do you want to do it?
We're just we're ending the list with 2 planeswalkers.
I would like to finish off the list. It would be enjoyable for the list to be finished off. What's wrong with that? Yeah.
Satisfaction.
Guaranteed.
Let's talk about the first planeswalker, first green ever planeswalker
that could actually be used.
No.
Just the first ever green one. Okay. Garruk, Wildspeaker. It is the first ever. Yeah, it was printed in Lorwyn. It's 2 colorless, 2
rare
green.
Before they had mythics.
Oh yeah, I guess it was.
It was a rare. I have the copy of it.
So it's you can +1 it.
Yeah, +1 untap 2 lands. You can -1 it to give yourself a 3/3 beast. Whoa, we were just talking about that.
Beast Within.
And then you can -4 to overrun, basically. Creatures
you control get +3/+3 and
trample until end of turn.
So it really fills a lot of roles. It can ramp you. It can give you a creature if you're down a creature, and so it'll also block it for itself, or it kind of just creates an end game by giving an overrun. Because really, what it is, you play it, you can untap 2 lands. So the next turn, you can overrun. And so that's pretty. That's a pretty powerful planeswalker right there.
And then we end with Freyalise,
Llanowars Fury,
and this is the one that was in the planeswalker.
Yeah, this was the first
decks.
commander planeswalker that you could have for green.
And what she does is, gosh, I'm trying to go off of memory here. Is it 1 green and 3 colorless? Or is it 2 green and 3 color? I'm trying to pull
2 green,
it up.
3 colorless.
And we might as well just pull this up. All right, searching for... Finally found her. Okay, so Freyalise is 3 and 2 green. She comes in with 3 loyalty.
Okay.
And then her +2 is put a 1/1 Llanowar Elf basically into play.
Mm-hmm. Should have been that.
Yeah, it should just say Llanowar Elf instead of Elf Druid, but then you can tap that for 1 green. And then its -2 is destroy target artifact or enchantment, so they're your destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And then your -6 is draw a card for each green creature you control, and she can also be your general.
Yeah. So, and I think she's really she's really powerful. Every time she comes down, she's kind of wrecking a house. Can block with the creatures. It can ramp with the creature. It can get rid of any troublesome artifacts or enchantments, obviously. And then it also just draws you cards to get ahead.
Yeah, she's very versatile with covering a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And so every time I faced her, she just kind of just takes over the game if you don't deal with her really quick.
Yeah, she's the one that I built when I used to have my 60-card elf deck. That's the one I changed it to her.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, I think that rounds up our core cards for Commander.
You revved it up a little bit. I like that. That's intense. Like camping.
Yeah, I used that one this week.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, it was actually last night I used that. That was pretty good. So yeah, well, that is pretty much the cards we think with green that you should try to add to your collection.
Yeah, start working towards it, and you
can start putting them in decks, and your decks are going to freaking flow nice.
Yep, and they're going to get. They're just going to improve.
Flow nice.
Flow nice.
It's anyways. Segment 2, we are going into our specs. Why don't we start with you, Lowry, because mine is kind of specific to the deck
that you're kind of looking at
that I came up with with.
Am I just
doing
all three of them?
Go ahead. Do your 3. So let's start from your first one.
So right now, a lot of these are based off of just like the new cards that are going to be coming out or that did come out with Dominaria. So River Kelpie. It's 3 colorless, 2 blue for a 3/3 with persist, and then whenever a card comes from your graveyard into play, I believe.
Yeah. Whenever a spell is played from the graveyard, draw a card.
Draw a card, and so
what's nice is it's from a graveyard.
From a graveyard. So you get to do it with anybody else.
Other people do it too.
I was just I wanted in my Muldrotha deck because you're able to play cards from your graveyard. That's gonna
work really nice.
And then you're just drawing more cards. And that's when the card has just kind of gone up a little bit, but I think it's good enough to just be in there.
I think you're right. I think we were talking about before that there's a legacy deck that's running it, but how the spike is looking, it's totally from
Muldrotha.
Yeah, no, that's totally spiked. So it was like a $2 card. It's now about three and change.
Just about 4,
but it's that's a good card. Shadowmoor,
and the foil is like $35. So this is a card that can see a lot of potential, and actually it's quite good with all of the like recursive decks in Commander. Like I think it's just a pretty solid card.
Yeah, I definitely like that one. Next one.
So I'm gonna go with Godo Bandit Warlord, but really it's working with Helm of the Host, which is the equipment from the Dominaria.
Infinite, basically.
Yeah, and so any creature that gives you another attack step essentially goes infinite attack steps with
the Helm
of the Host,
which is the new card from Dominaria.
Yeah, and Helm of the Host, it allows you to whatever creature it's equipped to, you put a new copy into play. If it's legendary, it's not going to be legendary anymore.
So they don't cancel with that though. It's at the beginning of your attack step. It does it, and then so you don't need to attack with that creature. It's the one copy it makes you attack with that because it gets haste. And then you get another attack step,
and then you
still
do it
sitting
again.
there, and it just keeps making it.
And so this is one of the more cheaper creatures that give extra attack steps. Like there was a Amonkhet card. I can't remember the name of it. It's like something Celebrant.
Was it the Exert one?
Yeah. So you exert it, and then you get another attack step. And so that shot up to like $8-9. You have Aurelia the War Leader that does the same thing. So it's just more like the idea, but Godo Bandit Warlord, it's $1 on the Commander, $2 for champions.
Go for Commander. Yeah, like you said, $2, or you can go 14 if you want to get the foil.
Yeah, and the foil might even be worth it at 14. But I think if you're looking at the other creatures that give you an attack step, they're over $5.
Yeah.
And this being $1 or $2, you at least have in my mind, a window of at least $3 more to get up to about $5.
Yeah, it's been kind of on the rise, pretty much since Dominaria has been Dominaria. God, I just want to keep saying Dominaria.
You'll get it. Or
we'll move on to the next one. Yeah, exactly. No, I like that for $1. That's not a bad buy.
And Godo is great to have in Commander anyway. Like it goes
in one of my decks.
When you put it into play, you get to go and put equipment into play, so you can actually go and find the Helm of the Host as well.
That's why he's in my equipment deck.
Yeah. So, and then the last one I want to talk about is Mirror Gallery. And this is an equipment for 5, or an artifact for 5, and then the legend rule does not apply.
So with all these legends and everything,
you can have copies of legends, and they don't count. It allows the new mythic Naru Maha, I believe, Miha, the Academy Master.
Yeah.
So when that comes into play, you get to copy a spell that you control, and then it gives wizards +1/+1. But that part doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
Whatever. But it does count with Mirror Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do with that is any spell that says, like, copy target creature. If you play Naru Miha, you can go infinite.
Oh, okay.
And then with Mirror Gallery in play, you have, infinite +1/+1. So, I mean, it doesn't technically matter, but you're able to make a bunch of Naru Mihas. And just this kind of allows, I think it facilitates maybe a second way of kind of winning.
Yeah. And it's kind of spendy.
It's a $14 card.
It did have a
bigger spike
when they
back before Ixalan.
Yeah. Actually, it when it spiked was because of the Planeswalkers
going
when
legendary.
They announced that they went legendary, so you could actually have multiple Planeswalkers, but
in play, yeah. And so it just kind of covers a lot of things. And this, Dominaria isn't the first set that they've gone legend heavy. It's been a decade since Kamigawa, which was really legend heavy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the foil is at 40, so
I think it has some potential. I think I'm probably going to go out and just like pick up one.
I was going to ask, are you going to pick up?
I'll probably get one. At least, because I think it's going to be worth it in
the long run.
Some type of deck that copies. Like, I think it'd be all right in Riku of 2 Reflections. I think.
I wouldn't see this getting reprinted necessarily anytime soon. It would have been in this set, you would think, because this is a legend heavy.
Yeah.
But it didn't get
printed. And this is from Betrayers of Kamigawa, so that's kind of what they were doing too. Like, Kamigawa had a ton of legends, and so they're like, play all of your legends. They didn't do that here. They're not going to do it here because Dominaria is essentially a one-set block.
Yep. So it's pretty safe unless they put it in a commander set or something like that, but I wouldn't see them do that either. They wouldn't do that because commander, you only have one card of everything anyway, so it'd be really stupid.
Well, again, you can copy...
Yeah, but still, you're most likely only have one card of everything, so it shouldn't really affect that. Anyways, so then into my specs, kind of what Lowry was saying there, his first spec, because he was building his deck and kind of realized that his card was the Kelpie was actually a pretty good card with that. Mine was the same thing with the fungus stuff. There's quite a few. I don't have 3. I'm just going to kind of mow through these, but Mycoloth, right? Is that what we're saying it? That's my first one. I mean, the foil, it's been printed a couple times, but it's only been printed in foil once. And they're sitting around $5. I think I just picked up a couple this week for under $4. So there's still copies of that up there, and it has not spiked. It works so well with Saprolines. If you bring this into play, you devour the Saprolines, how many counters it has. At your upkeep, you get that many Saprolines from any 1/1.
Yeah, it just has to survive a turn, and then it creates your army back.
Yeah. So,
but it works perfectly with Slimefoot because you're sacrificing those things for the benefit, doing the damage,
and then you get them all back.
Yeah.
So that's my first one. It hasn't spiked yet, so that's why I would actually say to go for that.
The foil, the foil makes
versions
sense.
Of that.
Well, I think we should also point out that. Were you going to talk about it? But like a ton of Saproling cards have skyrocketed in the last week. Like, they're crazy
because people wanted to play with Saprolings and fungus and stuff, but there really hasn't been a good
commander for it.
Yeah, there's the one I actually bought it for this
Theolon.
Yep.
Yeah,
but it's not that great. Like the freaking Slimefoot is pretty damn
a house.
Good. Yeah,
it's really good.
And then we go into Sporogenesis. This one you only can get regular, and it's from Urza's Saga. It's sitting at you can get them for 40 cents, 50 cents right now. But it's an enchantment. During your upkeep, put a fungus counter on a target non-token creature. Your creature gains all these tokens, and then if it dies, or for how many counters that on it, you make that many 1/1s.
Okay.
1/1 Saprolines. So I thought that was a pretty sweet card, and it's really cheap. So I bought like 10 of those guys. Like I said, regular, and then we move into what would it be? Vitaspore? Vitaspore Thalid?
I think that sounds right.
Foils of these as well because this did have. Oh no, it's only one printing. And they're sitting at, actually, they're starting to spike. I'm seeing that right now.
Go get it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I got these guys
get
for like
now.
20 cents, and now they're over 50. That's not a big jump. I mean, that's doubled up, but it's on the rise right now.
It's a common from Planar Chaos.
Yeah. And so that's an older set, and it's only been printed once. So that's why I went with that one. And it's a sacrifice a sapling. You don't have to tap to sacrifice, so you're able to combo
I think that's the key thing with
Yeah.
Slimefoot is that you want to be able to sacrifice for free.
Yep, exactly. And then that goes into the one that has spiked the most from all of these, Death Spore Thallid, and that's its sacrifice ability. It's a black fungus, actually, but its sacrifice ability is you sacrifice sapling, target creature gets -1 until end of turn. Now, the regulars are at 20 cents right now.
Spikes so hard.
But the foils, and I'm not saying going for the foils, they're at $50. So for a common from Time Spiral, if the foils are that high, it's only a matter of time. There isn't any other printings. It's only Time Spiral.
Yeah.
These are going to be starting to spike up there. I don't think it's going to get over 10, but we could see $5-6 here.
Yeah, I was seeing like the uncommons get up to like 6-7 at this point, like Utopia Mycon and Psychotropic Thallid.
Yeah,
those which are ones that we mentioned when we were talking about Slimefoot. And so those ones have gone up to like $6-7, like I said. This one being a common from the same block, I can see it being about $5.
Yeah. The biggest,
if
but
it's
this
actually
is by
used,
far the biggest jump for foil. So I didn't even go for the foils here.
I'm really surprised that it's 50. It seems crazy.
Yeah, well, and during the week it was at 30. No, it was at 25, and then it got to 30, and then right before we were doing this podcast, I looked at it and it was at 50, and so it just
keeps going up.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of copies. And then we get into another Time Spiral, Verdant Embrace. There's only one foil printing of this. Right now you can get these around $2, and there is no spike yet, but it's nice because it has the whole Verdant
Force.
There we go. Where each upkeep you get to make 1/1 Saproling. This one's an enchant creature or aura. And then how do you say that again? Thelonite. There we go. Thelonite Hermit.
I'd say Thelonite.
Thelonite?
Yeah.
All right. Thelonite Hermit. Another foil I would go for. Those about $2 as well. All your Saplings get 1+1. It has a morph ability, and then also when you flip it over for morph, you get 4 1/1s, which would really be 2/2 Saplings.
Yeah.
Again, only one foil printing. It's been printed a few times, but there's only one foil printing of that. And then the last one is Sprout Swarm. Now, I'm saying go for the foils, but there's very few copies left. I picked up a few for $3. This one's already spiked once over 10, and then it came back down because people are still dumping what they have, and I think there's only like 8-10 copies left. So,
and actually, like, I really like this card outside of Commander as well. Like, so it could go infinite with Intruder Alarm in
that's where
Modern.
We've used it before.
Yeah, and so as long as you have 4 creatures and one, like Sprout Swarm with Intruder Alarm, you just convoke it into play. It makes a sapling, untap all of your creatures, do it as many times as you want at the end of your opponent's turn because it's an instant.
Yeah.
And then you just make an army and then
doing it. Yeah.
Kill them.
Yeah. So that rounds off my list. And with Lowry's Kelpie, these are a different kind of spec where it's get on it now as soon as possible. If you want to do this, jump on it. You got to get the ones that are there. Because they're only going up. I mean, even by the time...
This is what people are building with.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And people haven't been able to do that. It's weird because this happens normally with the Commander set when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And it does occasionally happen, like with the Gods when they came out. They spiked, the Scarab God and the Locust God and stuff. We'll spike certain cards. But this set is spiking...
a bunch of different cards.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So... even by the time this podcast comes out, some of these that I'm saying to go after might have already spiked, and you might not. Like, for example, Sprout Swarm, it might be sold out by the time we get this podcast up. So just use your discretion with it. If it gets over 10, I wouldn't go for it. I think it's going to level out at $10 to $15 for the foil. I think. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to see that the Death Spore Thallid is at 50.
Yeah, that is a crazy one. I wonder if that's going to come down a little bit.
It will. It'll come down, but where will it come down to is the question.
I mean, yeah, it's hard for me to say like anything over for a common foil. It's kind of like maybe people really wanted to foil out their Slimefoot deck because Saplings were kind of cheap.
Yeah, well, and now
it's just kind of going nuts.
I mean, it's a good removal of killing creatures. It's the best one for killing stuff. So I don't know. And it's such an old set, this is way back, not way back, but
way
what I'm
saying. Back 10 years ago.
So, yeah. Is it 10 years?
No, I might be 15.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it was when we got kind of back into things.
Yeah.
So,
I want to say 05, 06.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
We could look it up, but my internet just kind of went down, so we're just... Good thing we had these already pulled up. So, that pretty much does it, and I think we're at our time limit anyways. Yes, we're just about an hour. Perfect.
That's what we wanted.
Once again, Commander Smiths. You can find us on Twitter at Commander Smiths.
Or send us a really sweet email at
we
Commander
still
Smiths.
Need some song suggestions.
Yeah, I just did a classical piece. I'm running out of ideas, folks.
Right. You have like 5 all queued up.
I'm down to 2.
Oh.
Down to 2 left. And I don't remember one of them. And
one
the other one's
saved.
I
was going to say, one of them has to deal with something that you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
And then, like I said before, you can check out our dueling boxes round 2.
Yeah, check for that at the end of the week here.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
And then in the next couple of weeks, we will have our Pete on Commanders.
Yeah. Not stop it. Gross. Gross.
I'm going to add a tinkle sound in there.
I want no tinkling. This is metaphorical.
So yeah, I think that rounds up this week. I don't know what we'll necessarily talk about next week, but we'll have something. I think.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
I want to be busy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we'll do core cards. We're going to kind of split that up and do that.
Yeah, we're going to spread that out. We can't come up with all our good ideas.
Yeah. So anyways, that should do it for this week.
What are we going to do? All right.
I thought that was supposed to be a bye. Why did you do? What are we going to do? Is this supposed to be our ending?
Yeah. What are we going to do? Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye. What the fuck? What are we going to do? Like, how are we supposed to end with that? Oh, man.